You know how we say a brave soldier is a lion, or that a really tough problem is a beast? We use words figuratively all the time. It's just how we talk. But what happens when the literal and the figurative meanings crash into each other? Especially in something important, like a legal document or an ancient text. Can a word actually mean two things at the exact same time? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to try and solve today.
And look, this isn't just some fun brain teaser. For a judge trying to interpret a will or a scholar studying a sacred text, this question is absolutely critical. Can one single word carry two distinct meanings in the same breath? The answer to that can determine who inherits a fortune, define legal obligations, and honestly shape our entire understanding of some foundational ideas. To get to the bottom of this, we need the right tools. And for centuries, legal experts and language scholars have used this really powerful framework built on two key ideas from classical Arabic, Haqeeqah and Majaaz. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Haqeeqah is the literal truth. It's the dictionary definition, what the word was born to mean. Majaaz, on the other hand, is the creative leap. It's the metaphor. It's when a word is kind of borrowed to mean something related, but not exactly what it was originally for. So let's stick with the word lion. Its Haqeeqah is super simple. It's that big, roaring cat from Africa. That's the original meaning everyone agreed on when the word first came to be. There's no ambiguity, right? It's just the animal. But then you have Majaaz. When we call a brave soldier a lion, we obviously don't mean he's suddenly grown a mane and claws. We're borrowing the idea of a lion, its courage, its power, its strength. That figurative use, that right there, that's Majaaz. Okay, so we have these two distinct types of meaning, the literal and the figurative. But what happens when they collide? What if a sentence could logically mean both things at the same time? This is where a fundamental rule of interpretation comes into play, and trust me, it changes everything.
And the principle is absolute. You have to choose. A single word in a single instance cannot mean both its literal and its figurative sense at the same time. It's either one or the other. You simply can't have it both ways.
Now that rule sounds pretty simple in theory, but its real power is in how it cuts through all sorts of confusion out in the real world. So let's put it to the test with a couple of classic legal puzzles. All right, let's open up the case files and see how this one meaning rule brings some serious clarity to some pretty complex situations. So here's our first case. Imagine a will. It leaves an inheritance to the children of person X. Now, person X has their own kids, but they also have grandchildren. So who gets the money? Is it just the direct kids, or do the grandkids get a piece of the pie too? And here's the dilemma. The word children has a literal meaning. It's Haqeeqah, the person's direct sons and daughters. But it also has a figurative meaning. It's Majaaz, which can totally be extended to mean grandchildren. So can the will mean both? Should everyone get a share? The rule gives us a crystal clear verdict. Only the direct children inherit. And the reason is simple. The literal meaning, the Haqeeqah, is right there, and it's perfectly valid. Because that literal meaning exists and makes sense, the rule blocks the figurative meaning from being used at the same time. The grandchildren, legally speaking, are out. All right, let's raise the stakes a bit. Picture a battle. A group of soldiers is granted asylum for their fathers. Does that protection cover only their direct dads, or does it extend up the family tree to grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and so on? And here we go again. We're at that same fork in the road. The word fathers has its literal Haqeeqah, the direct male parent, but it also has that figurative Majaaz meaning, all your male ancestors. So which path does the law take this time? The scales tip decisively. The verdict, once again, is fathers only. Because that literal meaning is present and totally clear, it gets priority. The figurative sense of ancestors gets set aside. You see? The rule delivers a consistent, unambiguous result every single time. So we've seen the rule work, but this is way more than just a quirky language thing. Why does a rule like this even exist in the first place? What kind of chaos is it trying to prevent? Well, the goal is pretty simple. It's about clarity over chaos. In law or in scripture, ambiguity isn't just confusing, it can be downright dangerous. This rule creates a firewall. It says that words have a primary, reliable anchor in their literal meaning. It stops people from just endlessly layering meaning after meaning onto a single turn, which would turn a clear instruction into a source of endless debate. This isn't just some ancient rule for dusty old books. We rely on this same exact principle every single day, whether we're reading a contract or just following a recipe. It's like the invisible grammar of clarity. So think about it. Where in your world does that line between what's literal and what's figurative become absolutely critical? When does what you say have to mean exactly what you mean?